Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we kick off with a bang as President Trump celebrates his 79th birthday with a massive military parade in Washington, D.C., showcasing over 6,000 soldiers, tanks, and flyovers, despite rain and mixed reviews. The event was costly and drew both patriotic cheers and sharp criticism over its price and purpose. Meanwhile, across the U.S., millions of Americans took to the streets in protests titled No Kings, voicing their concerns about authoritarian tendencies and policies they see as unjust, making it the largest demonstration since Trump's presidency began. Next, we turn to the ongoing immigration stories. In Omaha, nearly 80 workers were detained during a high-profile raid at Glen Valley Foods, sparking protests and debates over immigration enforcement. Simultaneously, in Los Angeles, residents and allies rallied peacefully against ICE raids, emphasizing the importance of community solidarity and immigrant contributions. Despite these efforts, some detainees have managed to escape detention centers, fueling ongoing concerns about immigration policies and detention conditions. Finally, we look at courageous resistance in Myanmar, where former civilians turned fighters continue their fight against a brutal military regime, despite losing limbs and facing deadly airstrikes. Their stories of resilience remind us of the ongoing global struggle for freedom. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed insights and updates on these compelling stories. The Washington Post vividly captures the spectacle of President Donald Trump's long-anticipated military parade, a grand display of American military power featuring over 6,000 soldiers and 128 tanks, set against the rainy backdrop of the nation's capital. Trump, on his 79th birthday, proudly watched from a special stand, proclaiming that America was finally celebrating its victories, a sentiment he echoed with fervor as he praised the military's strength and resilience. Paratroopers from the Golden Knights descended from the skies, and soldiers in ceremonial uniforms marched past, while the event also featured a lineup of vintage aircraft and a fireworks finale. However, the celebration was marred by lower-than-expected attendance and a hefty price tag of up to $45 million, sparking public debate about the event's value and the costs involved. Meanwhile, the same day, across the nation, a powerful counter-movement unfolded as thousands of protesters gathered to denounce Trump's use of military force for political spectacle and domestic law enforcement. In Los Angeles, demonstrators faced off against heavily armed Marines and National Guard troops, with some jeering and waving signs calling out what they saw as authoritarian overreach, including messages like, "No to Trump's fascist military parade," and "Where's the due process?" The protests extended to Washington, where signs and puppets caricaturing Trump were carried through crowds marching toward the White House, emphasizing a fierce opposition to what organizers called the president's authoritarian ambitions. These rallies, branded as No Kings, aim to defend democracy and highlight concerns over the militarization of domestic policy, reflecting a deep divide in public opinion about the role of military displays in political life. The Associated Press adds that the day also saw a significant immigration enforcement action at Omaha's Glen Valley Foods, where nearly 80 workers were detained during a raid based on suspicions of identity theft and illegal employment. ICE officials emphasized the criminal aspects of the case, countering narratives that framed the workers as mere dreamers seeking opportunity. The raid ignited protests in Omaha and nationwide, with demonstrators condemning what they perceive as the Trump administration's authoritarian tendencies and overreach. The event underscored ongoing tensions over immigration policies, with activists calling for more humane treatment and criticizing the aggressive tactics used by federal authorities, illustrating the broader political and social conflicts roiling the country. The Sydney Morning Herald vividly recounts the harrowing stories of Ko Kant and Min Aung, two young men whose lives were upended by Myanmar's brutal military coup. Once a chef and a rice paddy worker, their worlds shattered as Myanmar's military seized power in 2021, igniting a fierce civil war that has claimed thousands of lives. Ko, who lost his hand and sight in an explosion while fighting with ethnic armed groups, now volunteers at a clandestine hospital in Thailand, treating wounded soldiers and dreaming of starting a business to support his comrades. Min, severely injured and unable to fight, remains in the hospital, contemplating a future where he can only support from the sidelines, lamenting the loss of his legs and the possibility of never returning to his village or starting a family. Their stories symbolize the resilience and tragedy of ordinary civilians caught in the relentless conflict fueled by Myanmar's oppressive regime, with the hospital serving as a secret sanctuary amid ongoing violence and devastation. The Los Angeles Times offers a poignant perspective on the plight of undocumented immigrants in California, emphasizing their integral role in American society. Despite their illegal status, these individuals, many of whom have lived and worked in the U.S. for decades, care for children, build homes, and sustain local economies. The article highlights the irony that many undocumented workers are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans, yet they face harsh crackdowns and deportations under the Trump administration's aggressive immigration policies. Personal stories, like that of a Guatemalan father worried about deportation while working as a junk hauler, underscore the human toll of these policies. The piece also critiques the political motives behind such enforcement, suggesting that efforts are aimed more at punishing California and disrupting its economy than ensuring safety, with some officials openly advocating regime change and military intervention, further threatening the fabric of American democracy. The Sydney Morning Herald also captures the powerful wave of protests across the United States, contrasting them sharply with the spectacle of President Trump's military parade in Washington, D.C. Tens of thousands of Americans in all 50 states gathered to voice their discontent with Trump's disregard for constitutional norms, his policies favoring the wealthy, and his aggressive immigration raids. Demonstrators in Seattle and Los Angeles waved signs condemning the president's faux king persona and demanding accountability, reflecting a deep concern for the erosion of democratic principles. Meanwhile, Trump's display of military strength, reminiscent of authoritarian regimes, underscored the stark divide between the protesters' call for constitutional adherence and the president's authoritarian posturing. The article underscores the significance of these peaceful protests as a vital defense of democracy, contrasting them with Australia's more subdued political landscape, and emphasizing the importance of safeguarding democratic values amid global turmoil and rising authoritarianism. The Toronto Star vividly captures the spirit of solidarity in Los Angeles, where Angel City, a prominent NWSL team, distributed and wore T-shirts emblazoned with Immigrant City Football Club, a bold statement supporting immigrants amid heightened tensions over U.S. immigration policies. The team's gesture, including English and Spanish messages like "Los Angeles is for everyone," resonated deeply with the community, especially in the wake of protests and increased ICE raids. Angel City's social media expressed heartbreak over the community's fears, emphasizing the importance of diversity and belonging, while players' unions echoed this sentiment, advocating for dignity and respect for all, regardless of background. Meanwhile, across the globe in Tokyo, a small but passionate group of protesters gathered in front of Shibuya Station to voice their opposition to President Donald Trump's policies, notably condemning the planned military parade in Washington. These demonstrations, part of a worldwide movement, aimed to show international solidarity and challenge what critics saw as unnecessary military expenditures and authoritarian tendencies. Participants, including Japanese and expatriates, expressed concerns about the politicization of issues and the erosion of democratic rights in the U.S., with personal stories revealing fears about ICE raids and the decline of democratic norms. The peaceful protests underscored a global desire for accountability and the importance of standing up against perceived injustice, even from afar. In the United States, the No Kings protests erupted across cities and towns, with tens of thousands marching in a powerful display of dissent against Trump's perceived authoritarianism and anti-immigration stance. From West Palm Beach to San Francisco, demonstrators carried banners and chanted slogans like "Whose streets? Our streets," and "No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here," boldly rejecting the idea of kings or tyrants ruling over American lives. Law enforcement faced tense moments, including tear gas in Georgia and a vehicular incident in San Francisco, but the marches largely remained peaceful. Major cities like Philadelphia and New York saw massive turnouts, with speakers including political figures and Martin Luther King III emphasizing that America's strength lies in its people's unity and resistance to tyranny. These protests, coinciding with Trump's 79th birthday and his controversial military parade, vividly demonstrated the widespread desire for democratic values and accountability amid a charged political climate. The New Jersey media outlets, Yahoo US and Associated Press, vividly recount the daring escape from the Newark ICE detention center, illustrating a scene of chaos and unrest. The escapees, 4 men charged with crimes and detained for illegally entering the U.S., managed to break through interior walls, leading to a frantic manhunt. 2 of the men, Joel Enrique Sandoval Lopez and Joan Sebastian Castaneda Lozada, were swiftly recaptured within 72 hours, with Sandoval Lopez caught in Passaic and Castaneda Lozada detained since Friday. However, Franklin Norberto Bautista Reyes and Andres Felipe Pineda Mogollon remain at large, prompting a $10,000 reward for information. The incident was marked by allegations of protests and unrest at the facility, with Newark's Mayor Ras Baraka criticizing the situation amid tensions over immigration policies, although the detention company denied any widespread disturbance. In Los Angeles, CBC captures the emotional landscape of a city deeply intertwined with its immigrant roots amid recent ICE raids. Tens of thousands gathered in a peaceful protest along historic streets, voicing opposition to the Trump administration's immigration policies. The scene was filled with chants, horns, and vibrant banners, while storefronts were boarded up to prevent violence. Many community members, including those with personal ties to immigration, quietly supported the cause, standing in solidarity with their neighbors and families. The city's diverse fabric was on display, with over a third of residents born outside the U.S., illustrating LA's identity as a melting pot. Amidst the protests, small businesses like Casa India offered refuge and support, reflecting the resilience and unity of a community that has long thrived on diversity despite the fear and trauma caused by recent raids. The articles paint a compelling picture of the ongoing struggle between immigration enforcement and community resistance. The Newark escape highlights vulnerabilities in detention facilities, with authorities and local officials embroiled in controversy over conditions and oversight. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the community's response underscores a deep sense of solidarity, resilience, and cultural pride, even as many undocumented individuals remain cautious and hidden due to fear of detection. The stories reveal a city and a region grappling with the harsh realities of immigration policies, yet also demonstrating unwavering strength and a collective commitment to protect and support their diverse populations, emphasizing that Los Angeles and Newark are microcosms of the broader national debate surrounding immigration and justice. The U.S. media reports from Yahoo U.S. vividly depict Congressman Rob Bresnahan Jr.'s innovative initiative to bridge the gap between government and constituents in Pennsylvania's 8th District through the launch of the Bresnavan. This fully equipped mobile office, a pioneering move in Pennsylvania's congressional history, is designed to traverse the district, especially in areas lacking permanent government offices, ensuring that every resident has direct access to federal services. The van's thoughtful design incorporates regional cultural elements, making it a symbol of community pride while offering essential services such as navigating federal agencies, veterans benefits, social security, and passport processing. With scheduled visits announced in advance, this initiative not only enhances accessibility but also fosters local partnerships to address community needs on the ground, exemplifying a dynamic approach to citizen engagement and service delivery. Meanwhile, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation highlights the growing demand for working holiday visas, particularly among international travelers like Ines Carvalhito and Ruben Vasquez, who sought to extend their stay by working in ski resorts such as Falls Creek. Their experiences underscore a significant gap in the current visa scheme, as ski resorts are not recognized as remote areas eligible for the required 88 days of regional work, complicating efforts for travelers to qualify for visa extensions. Advocates like Michelle Lovell, the Falls Creek Chamber of Commerce president, argue for the inclusion of ski resorts in the program, emphasizing the valuable skills and seasonal employment opportunities they offer. The report also notes the rising popularity of working holiday visas, with application numbers increasing significantly post-pandemic, prompting the Department of Home Affairs to evaluate and potentially reform regional migration policies to better support regional development and protect migrant workers. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
News breaks, buzz the ground, stories spin, walls come down, voices merge in the sound, faces mix in the crowd. Broadcasters paint the scene, world events on our screen, every link a different theme, words collide in the stream. 6 degrees connect the dots, background stories more than us. the globe, spin the threads in a strobe. Every story wears a robe, truth and lies in their code. Journalists dig real deep, secrets out, they don't sleep. Every angle they will keep, in the news we take a leap. New perspectives day by day, hidden truths come to play. In the background shades of gray, every story finds its way.